If you are on a self-development journey, you have probably started to notice some of your patterns and limiting beliefs that are holding you back. You know some of your habits and behaviors aren't really aligned with who you want to be, and maybe you even understand why you do what you do. But despite that awareness, nothing is changing. You keep falling back into the same loop over and over again. This isn't because you are bad or failing, though. It's because self-awareness without action becomes a safe substitute for real change. And if you don't know that distinction, you can be as self-aware as you like without your life ever changing. And for a long time, that was me. I thought that if I just could understand myself better, if I just got a little bit more self-aware, then my life would change. What I didn't realize back then is that awareness on its own doesn't create change. Sometimes it actually can keep you stuck. And the reason this is happening isn't because awareness is useless. It's actually completely opposite. Awareness is essential because awareness is the starting point for all growth and evolution. But we live in a time where information is incredibly accessible. We can learn about psychology, trauma, attachment theory, nervous system regulation, shadow work, and so on and so forth, all in one click. So we gain a lot of insight and knowledge, and learning new things feels really productive. It feels like movement, like we're finally doing something with our life. And in many ways, we absolutely do. But there is an important distinction between knowledge and wisdom, though. Knowledge is knowing about something. Wisdom is living differently because of it. And if we don't bridge that gap, we stay in our head, we are analyzing, explaining, making sense of things, while our behavior stays the same. But here's the part most people don't realize. Awareness is essential for growth, and it can also keep you stuck. I know that sounds so contradicting, but here is why. Awareness without embodiment keeps us in our head. So instead of experiencing our emotions, we start to intellectualize them. We explain why we feel the way we feel, we analyze where it comes from, we label it, we contextualize it, we make sense of it, and that can look like emotional intelligence. But sometimes it's actually a way of staying in control, a way of avoiding discomfort. Because feeling an emotion fully, letting it move through you, doesn't always feel safe or pleasant, especially if you grew up in an environment where emotions weren't really welcomed or expressed in a healthy way. So a protective part of us creates distance, and it can say things like, let me understand this instead of feeling it. Let me conceptualize this instead of staying with it. And that creates separation within ourselves. We can be aware of what we feel without actually being with it. And this is where self-awareness quietly can turn into bypassing. Not because you are necessarily avoiding growth, but because growth requires embodiment, not just mental understanding and awareness, which then can sometimes lead to us mistaking naming a pattern for changing it. We can tell ourselves things like, I know why I do this, I see where this comes from, I understand my triggers, but having awareness of something isn't automatically always creating change. Because let's be honest, growth and change can be really uncomfortable. So it's very natural that we avoid it. But if you really want to change your life, you got to be willing to stay present inside the discomfort of change and still take the action needed to move forward towards your dream reality. And sometimes being aware or awareness itself can become a part of our identity. We can start to see ourselves as the aware one, the conscious one, or the one who understands. And it's absolutely nothing wrong with that in and of itself. It's absolutely beautiful that we are waking up to who we are and becoming more self-aware. But the trap is when awareness becomes a place we stay instead of a place we move from. Sometimes we can use being conscious as an excuse for passivity, waiting for the perfect sign from the universe, the perfect feeling, or the perfect time before we act. And without realizing it, we have given the mind a very comfortable story. I am evolving, I am aware, I'm just not ready yet. And that's why so many self-aware people stay stuck, not because they are doing anything wrong, but because they have made awareness a part of their comfort zone instead of the foundation for growth and change. But here is the reframe I want you to sit with. Awareness is the invitation, not the work. Awareness shows you where you are right now. Embodiment changes how you respond. Yes, some shifts happen the moment you see the pattern clearly. Some patterns only require you to see it in order to transmute it. But most change happens when you notice the pattern and then choose differently, even while your body wants the familiar choice. And here is where our identity shifts, not in insight, but through lived responses. So I want to leave you with a question to sit with. But before you answer it, I want to say this clearly. Be kind to yourself when you are answering the questions. This isn't about judging, shaming, or blaming yourself. That only makes the patterns harder to change. So instead, approach it with curiosity. So here is the questions. The first question is, what habit or behavior do I notice about myself that I know isn't aligned, but still choose to continue anyways? An example of this could be that you want to start being consistent with going to the gym, but you keep skipping it. And if you want to go one layer deeper, here is the next question. What feeling do I avoid by staying in that loop? Or how does it benefit me that I am staying in that loop? And for the gym example, maybe you keep skipping the gym because you are afraid of looking stupid or doing something wrong. And to go even deeper, you can ask yourself, when was the first time I felt that feeling or experienced that? Once you have answered these questions, I want you to remember one thing. Awareness is only the first step, because seeing the pattern doesn't necessarily change it. Change begins when you take one small step in the opposite direction of what you are used to, even though it feels uncomfortable. And you don't need to change everything at once. In fact, you won't, because change and integration is a process. And this is where awareness becomes important in a completely new way. Because once you can see the pattern and the next time it shows up, when you get triggered or activated in some way, awareness gives you a moment of choice. And in that moment, you get to respond differently than you normally would. It's like this little pocket of time between the triggering event and your response. So if we are able to stay aware enough in that moment, we then get to choose a different response. So real change happens by noticing and staying aware of how we respond, then choosing a different response, and then just keep repeating that choice over and over until it becomes natural. But if you slip up, please give yourself some grace and be patient with yourself, because slipping up is simply just part of the process. But please remember, this is not about fixing yourself. It's about honesty, presence, and the willingness to stay with discomfort long enough to choose differently. That's how awareness becomes wisdom, and that's where real change actually begins. Thank you so much for being here and taking the time to watch. That really means a lot to me. And if this resonated, I would love to hear what you took from it in the comments. Also, like this video and subscribe if you feel like it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, babe!